Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Portland Men on Sports. I'm Derek.
Loren.
And we have
Bruce.
A very familiar face. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot of timber stuff today. We all kind of...
You might be able to tell from our attire.
Yeah, we kind of just threw this together. You know, it all came from Lauren's wardrobe.
That's right.
And
That's all I wear.
Which is very surprising. It didn't
right.
come from my wardrobe, but there you go.
We brought Bruce on today to talk a lot of timbers, and as we always do, we start off with the top five. So we figure
we're going to let Bruce take away.
Bruce is going to run down his top five moments from the past timber season.
Yeah, and there were a lot of moments. Very difficult to choose. A few honorable mentions that we'll probably talk about a little bit later in the show. But the top five moments for me from this season, number 5 was a goal by Darlington Nagbe versus Sporting Kansas City, I believe. A game that we eventually lost 2-1, but this goal was one of the most amazing bits of skill and athleticism that you'd ever see. It really sort of gives us a glimpse of what this guy is going to be like. And as I was on my way to the show today, I was thinking about this because it's such a great goal, and I really should probably put it higher on the list. But I was comparing it to a goal that Vancouver Whitecaps' Eric Hasley scored against Seattle. Very similar goal where he took the ball out of the air, juggled it, and knocked the ball into the back of the net. The difference was that Hasley's goal was all luck. I mean, while there was skill involved, if he tried to repeat it again, he probably never could. I mean, it's that much of a one-off. Whereas Nagbe's was about his skill level. It was about what he brings to the team, and we're going to see moments like that from him again and again and again over the course of the season and the course of his career. And so it really, for me, while it's not quite as spectacular, I think, as Hasley's goal was, it's a better indicator of what this guy's going to be for the team, and in that way, very valuable. I'm sure we've got the highlight here. It's got over 1.5 million hits on YouTube, which shows sort of the impact of this. You know, we get 20,000 people coming to a game every week, but 1.5 million people have sought out that goal.
I like how you were able to get a subtle dig at a rival in there, at the same time as giving a highlight from our past season.
Next show will actually be the top 5 reasons why Seattle is
and Vancouver and all that. Hasley's a great talent, huge, big forward, but God, he's lazy. He's a bad teammate.
A lot of soccer players are pretty lazy.
That's true.
And so in that way, you know, I don't want to give him, but he's got a lot of talent, but he doesn't have the kind of talent that Nagbe has.
And how far away was Nagbe's goal? We're talking a good 20 yards.
It was 20 yards. He was just outside the 18-yard box, and you know, brought the ball down out of the air, never touched the ground.
Crossed far upper corner too.
Yeah, and just an absolute. Just an amazing feat of skill and precision. And
the intent was there the entire time.
He knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. So that's number 5.
I think my favorite thing on that highlight was after he scored, you know, usually there's the celebrations of he just sprints right back to the coach, to Spencer, and then everybody just kind of mobs him and stuff. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anybody run back to the coach before.
You know, and it's interesting, if you look at some of the other highlights from this season, you'll see that quite a bit. There's a real connection between the team, the individual players and the coach. It's a remarkable thing to see, and it's part of the, I think, the things that we'll talk about a little bit later.
All right. Well, number 4.
Number 4, August 3rd, 3-0 victory against the best team in MLS, the LA Galaxy. This was a game that showed us everything that the Timbers can be. They dominated the play, even though they didn't dominate statistically the possession, but they got more shots on goal. It was an absolute dismantling of the best team in MLS. And is it possible that LA didn't take the game seriously? I don't think so. They were playing all their big guns and their pros. We just took it to them and showed our speed, our skill, our ability to play wide, our ability to contain an attack, which we didn't always show all season long, but it really gave a glimpse of how good the team can be long term.
One thing that struck me about that game is when you watch LA play, it seems like they play a more European style of finesse and speed, and they try to really play off of Beckham's ability to just thread his passes in there and get guys open. And the MLS game is a little more physical, and the Timbers showed it in that match. They showed that they could be the more physical team and use that to their advantage. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And it's one of those things, too. If Beckham's off his game, it really affects LA's ability to win. You know, in those matches, they're going to get draws more than they otherwise would. But still, that being the case, Beckham wasn't really off his game. It was just one of those games where we were so much more aggressive than they were. We wanted that game so much more. The crowd was absolutely pumped up, as they always were. But still, there was something extra special in that match, and it really came through.
Excellent.
Number 3?
Number 3 would be opening night away in Colorado, which was March 19th. So the debut of the MLS Timbers. Not a great performance by the Timbers, but a great sort of embracing of the sport. There were over 400 Timbers fans that traveled to Colorado to watch the opening match, and all throughout Portland and the Portland area, bars were packed to the gills with people wanting to see what this was all about, trying to get their first taste of it. I was at a place called 442, which is a local establishment in Southeast Portland, and it was wall-to-wall people. I mean, as they say, it was butts to nuts the entire way. You might have to bleep that out. And at the Baghdad Theater opened up their doors for Timbers Army as part of an official viewing with them, and they were turning people away 2 hours before the match.
Wow.
And so it really sort of set the stage for what was going to be a remarkable year for the team.
Excellent.
They did score.
Cooper had a goal. Yeah, Cooper got a goal.
History first.
MLS first MLS goal, and that will always have Cooper's name against it, and which is great. And we hope to see many more from him, and so forth. But you only get one of those games, and it had to be in the highlight, even if it wasn't the greatest outcome for the team.
Right.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2, May 14th, traveling to Seattle. The game itself was ugly. It was torrential downpour. It was a 1-1 draw. Beautiful goal by Footy Danso to equalize it about halfway through the second half.
A rarity from him this year.
Yeah, well, he got a couple, but this was remarkable for a couple of different reasons. This was the first glimpse that MLS has had of a rivalry of this scale, one that has over 35 years of history between Portland and Seattle Sounders, with close to 600 Timbers fans traveling north for the game, and a real rivalry that was built up in the weeks leading up to it, with a lot of trash talking, a lot of posturing, and then even after the match, the coaches got into this war of words that was just amazing for its stupidity on Seattle's part, and the brilliant way that John Spencer sort of took digs and digs and digs at the Seattle operation, pointing out the differences in the two cultures. So it really was something that sort of set the bar pretty high, and it was raised a couple of times throughout the season with the other rivalry games, but that was the one that for the big picture, the big stage, everybody was paying attention to that game, and it really came through.
You know, that the post-match arguing back and forth made it onto the New York Times, and there was a multi-page article and pages and pages. I lost count at some point of how many pages there were of comments about this rivalry going back and forth between Seattle and Portland, and New Yorkers, frankly, going, I don't get it. What's going on there? And it was kind of cool to see that, hey, this is something special here.
Yeah, it really is, and it's hard to define because it's been, sort of on the back burner for so many years, and it's also been out of sight. I mean, even in the second division, the rivalry was significant for the people involved, but it didn't get the national attention. Or it got actually, frankly, more international attention than it did national attention, with folks who pay attention to soccer worldwide getting much more involved in understanding what it's all about, and it's just going to continue to grow. It's going to be great for MLS, and it really is for me. It was one of the best moments. It was sort of probably a 3-week moment, leading up to the match itself, and the aftermath.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're down to your number 1. So,
Da-da-da.
Yeah, everybody's really curious. What did you choose for the number 1 best moment from this past?
I don't think it can be much of a surprise that the home opener at Jeld-Wen Field to open up that facility on April 14th against Chicago, a game that the Timbers dominate and win, and the energy, the electricity, everybody wanted to see the facility and all of that. But then it ends up being this massive downhill. I mean, it was so wet that everybody started. The entire stadium was standing for the entire match because nobody wanted to sit down and get their ass wet. And that added to the energy because when people are standing, they make more noise. But it was just a magical night. Everybody trying to get in early to see what the stadium had to offer, the new stuff, the things that they've done to commemorate the history of the team and the fans, and it was magic. It was an absolutely magical night, and I think most Timbers fans would point to it as the single biggest and best moment of the season.
And within that game, there's a couple historic things. There's the first goal at home, obviously, and an exciting game to watch. I mean, a 4-2 score, and there was even, I think there was a goal taken away, right?
Yeah, there was.
Cooper header for the first goal.
Yeah, for the first goal,
and then that got taken away.
Yeah, they called Jack Dewsbury's pass to him from the corner kick, went out of bounds and came back in. And that would have been the first goal at Joel Winfield, right in front of me. It looked like a great goal, and we all went nuts anyway. But again, it's so hard to put a list like this together. There were moments in there. I wanted to give an honorable mention to Khalif Al Hassan for his footwork against FC Dallas in the second home match, where he threaded through 4 or 5 defenders and left a ball for Rodney Wallace to slot back for an easy goal. It was a tremendous bit of individual skill, something that we wanted to see more from Khalif, and he lost his form a little bit throughout the season, but that was a great highlight. It just wasn't good enough to make the top 5. And individually, Mike Chabala, who we had just acquired from Houston, scored one of the goals against LA Galaxy. And so he's sort of included in here as, because that game itself was on the list. But what he did with that showed how valuable he was going to be to this team with his ability to get forward, his ability to stay wide, his passing ability. All of those things were sort of in play there. His ability to contain the attack. That was one of the things that really came through in that game, was that 2 of our goals came from us defending the box. I mean, pushing forward into the front third and then containing it with our defenders so that LA had no options. They could not even clear the ball out of bounds, which is what they tried to do on 2 of those goals, and we got that ball back and we got it right back into the mix. So Chabala really made a big impact with his coming over in the trade, and so he gets an honorable mention, those 2.
Honorable mention to the home win streak as well this year, which was a pretty remarkable feat.
Yeah, it really is to see a team come out that had really not played very well on the road at all. I mean, we really hadn't seen what the team had to offer. And then they come home, they get energized by the crowd, they get to play on their own surface on a smaller field. I mean, it's regulation, but it's still it's a pretty cozy dimension there. And I think it feels smaller than it is because the fans are right on top of you. And the win streak to start the season at home was really remarkable. It had never happened in MLS with an expansion team. I think it did happen with the inaugural season when everybody was an expansion team. But for a new team coming into the league, it had never happened before.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to take a break, but we'll be back, and we'll be talking more Timbers, a little recap of the season, and then probably what we're looking forward to from this point on.